Bridges are wild. Four of a bridge beats a royal bridge.
You see a bridge? They raise you 3 bridges. Bridge! I win!
Hello and welcome to Triple Dummy episode 5. With me I have Elena Moscovsky, and we have a guest speaker today, which is Mike Doecke as well. He looks a lot like Bob Dylan in the picture. He doesn't actually have a live webcam, but anyway, and I'm Peter Hollins. Today we're going to be talking about some bridge news that's been sort of breaking all over the world, which is the cheating scandal of Lotan Fischer and Ron Schwartz, and we'll talk a bit about our results and some other stuff as well. But for those that don't know, Elle, do you want to just talk a bit about the cheating scandal and introduce what's actually been happening?
Oh, sure. So, I guess it all started from the spin goals a few days ago, and since then, I guess what happened is Boyo Brugland went on a bit of a vendetta. He was like, I reckon these two people are cheating, and I'm gonna go on a massive vendetta, start a bridge website called bridgecheaters.com, and start trying to just show the whole world that Ron Schwartz and Lotan Fischer are cheating, and find their cheating method and post all this stuff about how the cheating works and all that sort of thing. So Boyo Brugland, has been updating his bridgecheaters.com website pretty regularly with like new stuff, like videos, and it was just yesterday, I think, that where it came out that someone had like broken the code, and now they've put on quite a bit of detail about the actual cheating method, which is quite exciting. I've read a bit of that, but not heaps. So it's I must say, it's all been really quite exciting. I've been quite addicted to the whole story, just finding everything out as it happens, and I just have to know the answer. Like, I have to know how they're cheating. It's just thrilling. It's like a little logic puzzle that you have to solve. And I'm getting really addicted to checking. Before yesterday, I was checking like bridge cheaters just like every day or so, just to see if new stuff had come out. I'm watching all the videos and stuff. It's been quite addictive.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, there's been there's a pair accused of cheating, Lotan Fischer and Ron Schwartz. They were the winners of the Spin Goal, which is a major American event, and they're an Israeli pair that's been playing together. Now, they haven't been convicted of cheating or anything like that, but there's been huge cries of outpour and evidence and all kinds of garbage that's happening, and people saying that they're cheats and stuff, and that's all coming, and that's basically what we're going to talk about today. Have you read much about it, Mike?
Yeah, so the story sort of starts back several years ago. This pair has had a history of actual cheating. In particular, Lotan Fischer was banned for a couple of years for cheating when he was back in the juniors, and then forced to swap partners, I think. But even in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of sort of whispering behind the scenes that some of the things they're doing and some of the things they're getting right don't seem possible without some sort of assistance.
Yeah. So, first question I've actually got for both of you is, are they actually cheats?
Definitely.
The evidence seems incredibly strong.
Surely. I mean, they do a lot of weird stuff. Like if you've read a bit of the information that's been put out on bridge winners and on bridge cheaters, then they do a lot of really weird things, like a lot of really anti-percentage things that works way too often. Like, that's just not how bridge works. You can't do anti-percentage things and expect to win. No, they're definitely cheating. 100%. Especially because especially because Lotan Fischer has been banned for cheating previously, and so was Ron Schwartz. Not banned, but Ron Schwartz got caught like making up results to get their team through. Like 2 teams didn't play off, and he just entered in some bosh results so that they made it through some semi-final. Like, they've both been pretty dodgy in the past, and now this is just, no, surely. They're definitely cheating. Without a doubt.
One thing is, even looking at it from sort of a mathematical point of view, these guys are a young pair. That they're an ex-junior pair that very recently sort of turned senior, and they've been the best pair in the world for the last 4 or 5 years. They've had the most success, and sort of historically, that's not possible. Like, there are no pairs that have gone straight from juniors to being the indisputed sort of most successful pair. It's a bit like sort of Lance Armstrong. You could look at his cycling achievements and say, well, he's the best ever by an absolute mile. The alternative sort of reasoning is that he's cheating, and it turned out that he was cheating.
Yeah. I think they are probably cheating, and I'm leaning very towards they are cheating. I do want, like, conclusive evidence, because, like, oh, you dropped out. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, sorry. My video just intermittently decides to shut down, stop working. Sorry. I'm not sure what's causing that. Bit weird.
But, like, I was thinking, like, yes, I think they're cheating, but, like, so a couple of things is you look at it and you say, all these lucky things that you see them doing, and, like, they're clearly cheating because you just see them all working. But one of the things is we're only seeing the hands from the people that are actually accusing them of cheating. And so they're going to bring up they're going to be slightly biased and try and bring up all the hands that obviously look like they've done odd things. And now, if I think back through my bridge career, I have made some really weird bids at times, and they've certainly worked. If someone just went through and found all the weird stuff that I've done, they'd be like, this guy is fucking on drugs or he's cheating. But, like, if you went through and looked at video of anyone anyone at all, you could probably find a code that they do use. And, like, they wouldn't actually use it, but, like, you could find a pattern in what they do and try and attach that to them and say that they are cheating.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of actions that people do at the bridge table. You know, there's everything you do with the tray and putting your bids down and passing the tray through, and then there's everything you do with your score sheet and your drinking water and whatever have you. So yeah, I agree with you that you could find a pattern maybe to pretty much any pair and be like, this is what they do on blah, 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 and find something that seems to happen 90% of the time. But
I mean,
that being
especially
said,
experienced pairs build up like a knowledge of one another's style, and you have to sort of consciously fight that. If you know that your partner tends to be, you know, weak in a certain spot or strong in a certain spot, you should be telling the opponents rather than using it to your own advantage.
Yeah, you definitely want to avoid that. But, like, what I was trying to get at was, like, if you just look at someone and trying to look for a pattern, you're going to spot a pattern if you look hard enough for a pattern. Like, people will be doing any number of mannerisms, and if you are sure they're cheating, you are going to be suspect and look for any pattern that keeps repeating. So you will find something that keeps repeating on these certain hands.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you have to be careful not to, especially when you sort of cherry pick a particular set of hands and use them as your proof without looking at all the hands. But I think it's a combination of things, though. It isn't like every pair gets this kind of scrutiny. It's mostly because their history of cheating, their incredibly successful results, and the unusual nature of their results. They manage to always find unusual killing leads. They very rarely seem to lead a suit and have it completely fail. It usually hits something, more so than other pairs. And yeah, it's more the case that people have noticed this over the course of several years rather than it being just a sort of very recent occurrence.
Yeah. You're going to say it?
I was just going to say about your point before, how you were saying that if everyone took all of the weird things that you did in your bridge career, you know, all of the really, really strange things that you did, you know, some of them would work eventually. But that's all of the things that you did over a long period of time, whereas we're pretty much only looking at things that happen in the spin goal and things that happened in last year's European Championships, is most of the hands that I've seen come from. That's two major tournaments they've played in. Not
the other main
the
point.
last 10 years they've been playing, you know.
I mean, the other main point, no offence to Pete, is that he didn't just win the spin gold.
Ouch.
Zine. but I mean, if Pete was winning everything, doing crazy stuff all the time, he would have the same allegations. And winning everything at the absolute top level is incredibly hard. It's not like any Australian tournament. You're dealing with guys that are all professionals and incredibly talented players.
Yeah. So I do agree. I think they are probably cheats. And if you're looking for any details on more of this saga that's unfolding, there's two main websites that you want to check out, which is www.bridgecheaters.com, very aptly named, and also www.bridgewinners.com. It's another good site to check out. If you want to hear the other side of the story, there's also a Facebook page. I'm not quite sure how to find it, but I've managed to find it myself, which is something like Fisher and Schwartz aren't cheats. So there's a Facebook page where they try and defend all their actions as well. So basically, what has actually happened, I'll just lay out the events that have happened, which was there's an event in America called the Spin Goal. They won it, and during the process they beat down their previous teammates, who included a guy called Boje Brogland, who's from Norway, and another very top player. After the thing, Boje searched through hands and then basically said, our team that won with them in 2014 wants to give back all our awards for winning in 2014 because we believe they're unethical and they've been cheating. And hand back, I think, 3 events from 2014. They wanted to sort of step down. I don't even know how that actually works, but they want to sort of backtrack and say, like, we don't deserve to win these because we're fairly sure they're cheats. Then everything flared up from there, and Boy has now created this website called bridgecheaters.com, and all that details there. And it's basically saying that this Israeli pair, Lotan Fisher and Ron Schwartz, are cheats. For those that don't actually know anything about these two, Lotan Fisher, I think, is about my age, and Ron Schwartz probably a couple of years older, but I'm not totally sure on how old he is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was certainly just around the juniors when I was still playing, so maybe a couple of years older than you, Pete, I guess.
Yeah. That being said, if they are convicted of cheating, I want like my very first under-20s back, because we qualified second, coming second to Israel, and they picked us in like the semi-final match and just smashed us down. And we ended up coming fourth, like Australia always does. But
You mean like you always do? It's not all of us that always comes forth. It's just you, bro.
just me, but now if you look at the current Australian results, they came fourth again. It's a trend. I said a trend.
One potentially good thing for Australia is that the Australian pretty much open team from 2011 in the Netherlands actually came second in the transnational open teams behind the Israel team. So if they do get accused of cheating and some of their results get rolled back, then Australia might be in for its first international win.
Yeah, entirely possible. But even if things get rolled back, I'm not sure like how much that really matters. What do you reckon? Like, if you came second in something and it got rolled back and you got told you won, what are your thoughts?
It's not as good as winning it right away, certainly.
I guess so. It's just such a strange situation, you know. How would you feel? I mean, sure, it wouldn't feel as good as winning, but does that mean you didn't deserve to win? Should you not get recognised for winning? I don't know. It's all too weird. Seeing all the problems, there's just too many problems that arise from pairs cheating. They should just stop doing it.
One big deal that's probably going to result from, if they do get found guilty, is that the Bermuda Bowl is coming up very soon in India, and Israel won the European qualifying, which has meant that Denmark and Sweden, who finished 7th and 8th, didn't qualify for the Bermuda Bowl, which, is likely to change if Israel does get banned.
Yeah. Just for anyone listening, I want it to be clear that they actually haven't been found guilty yet. While us three are all pretty convinced that they are guilty, it's entirely possible that they're not, and nothing's actually happened. We'll keep you posted on it if anything does happen, but it's just our personal views.
I mean, one thing is that this pair has been monitored by the ACBL for the last year with video cameras and people involved, and in the last year they've basically made no progress. This comes after a lot of complaints and comments and hands and stuff, and then in the last week, since Boyer came out with his big whistle blow, there's been a huge amount of progress, and Ishmael Del Monte, one of the best Australian players, has been one of the main people involved in digging through hands and breaking the system, cracking their code.
Yeah. So we'll move on to actually cracking the code. So what do you think of the code? Have you seen what it is? And
Well,
Yeah,
they've
well,
only
the
given
main-
us one part of it so far, the lead directing part. Like Ish has, hinted at a few other bits about the coughing and the water drinking to show a weakness of him, but they've mostly just talked about lead directing stuff so far. And I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more than that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, one thing, it feels like they've pretty much gone the whole shebang. They started off with some moving, but basically the cheating they were perpetrating, or allegedly perpetrating, happens when you play behind screens. And behind a screen, you can't actually see your partner's face at all, but the board with the cards in it gets passed under the screen on a tray. And they're essentially using that tray to convey information about what card they want led. So basically, if they have no preference, they leave the tray where it is. If they have a preference, they move the tray either towards themselves in a direction or towards their partner in a direction. And each of those four options conveys a preference for a particular suit to be led.
Yeah.
And this is, again, all potentially hearsay, but there is quite a lot of evidence mounting now where the player who's moved the tray has moved it in a way that corresponds with what lead they would probably want their partner to make.
yeah. So I was just looking this up. So the official thing that is suggested is that if you want spades, the board is pushed towards the opening leader. If you want hearts, the board is placed on one side of the table. If you want diamonds, the board is placed in the middle of the table. And if you want clubs, the board is placed on the side of the non-opening leader. They also think that there may be audible sounds such as coughing or drinking water to indicate weak hands. And they convey length in partner's suit after they've shown weakness based on the speed at which they bid, such that slow means they have no support. And when they're declaring, they can ask their partner to find out about trumps for them by getting their partner either to get up from the table and such that they can see the opponent's hand in some way or something like that. And as declarer, they can indicate they have a problem just to tell their partner to go get up and actually do that looking for them. Not sure all about it, but this is all the things that are suggested. Do you reckon they're actually doing all of this?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not convinced that all of it is 100% true, but the lead directing stuff in particular does feel accurate based on what results and what samples I've seen. But perhaps the scariest thing...
Sorry.
You can go.
I was just going to say, maybe they're not doing exactly what it said, but they're definitely doing it, at least 4 or 5 different things. Whether it's coughing or drinking water or being slow or fast to show spade length, something like that. Then maybe it's not that specific action, but I think their method is definitely going to be extensive. Like, it's not just going to be about moving the train for the lead. It's also going to be, I probably think they haven't even found all of it. I probably think there's more. I just have the impression that it's this really convoluted, complex system, and that maybe that's just me dreaming, but I just feel like they have a lot of different things they can do. Because having just one particular type of information isn't always that useful. You need to have different kinds of information depending on the board. It'll be just as complex as playing bridge itself, actually cheating effectively. So, maybe they're not doing exactly what it says there, but I think they're definitely doing at least 4 or 5 different things to get information.
If you're going to stop cheating, you might as well go the whole hog. Like, why stop part way? If you've decided that cheating is what you want to do, then I can't see a good reason why they would do only one form of the cheating.
Yeah.
One thing that scares me probably the most, just kind of slightly an aside, but it feels like given people like Ish were able to crack this code within a week, looking at video replays and things, it kind of scares me how dangerous a pair could be if they were prepared to put more time into even more complicated methods. Maybe they use some sort of electronic device to tap signals, or to tap their shape, or to tap their high card points, or but they really wanted to encode the system, where they encoded the signals within changing by board or vulnerability or anything like that. It feels like trying to crack the code shouldn't necessarily be a prerequisite for being able to accuse somebody of cheating. If you've got a lot of evidence, a preponderance of evidence from results, mathematically speaking, they've managed to do things that are mathematically impossible over a long period. That should be enough evidence in itself, I think.
Yeah. So some people say the how of them cheating is not actually relevant, just the fact that there's enough belief that they are cheating is enough. And it's kind of a good point, because trying to crack the code's a lot of work, and trying to solve that issue is pretty tough. But one of the things is, for all the viewers or people out there that aren't convinced that they're cheating or not, and not just actually really good players, knowing how someone cheats is relevant for them, but it probably shouldn't be relevant for actually getting them caught as cheaters.
But the other aspect of that is, how would you prove that they're cheaters without having their method? How would you show beyond reasonable doubt that they are cheaters otherwise? Which is surely what you'd have to do. Like, you couldn't just be 80% sure that they're cheating to ban them. Like, surely you must be pretty sure.
Yeah, it'd have to be more than 80% sure. But one thing is that if you were to ask expert pairs that had played against this pair over a long period of time, the last 5 years, almost every single expert opponent they've had, like world-class players, have been skeptical about their methods. Literally everyone. And that is a pretty damning fact. The fact that almost every top pair, Levin and Weinstein, Mexrath, Rodwell, even the Italians have come out and made comments.
But would you be willing to ban them for however long years, or even for life, just because every top player has been suspicious of them cheating? Like, in bridgecheaters.com, Boyer seems like he implied that there are other top players who are also suspected of cheating, and it seems like that view, I got the impression that view is pretty widely held. So, where do you draw the line between, when would you be happy to ban them for a long amount of time? It seems unfair to ban them for life just because most top pairs, or all the top pairs, have suspected them of cheating.
One thing is, we're not talking about a life sentence to prison here. We're talking about an event which is, in its nature, sort of probabilistically based. You get lucky in bridge sometimes. You make lucky choices, lucky guesses. If you make lucky guesses a lot more than you should, and you can't justify them with any kind of logic, then that's a problem. I think, and I think that there shouldn't be an onus, personally, there shouldn't be an onus to find a method behind the cheating, because simply put, if a pair was clever enough, they would make the method impossible to find. It wouldn't be that hard. If you wanted to cheat, if we wanted to sit together now, put our heads together and come up with a method, we could make one easily that would be uncrackable or close to uncrackable, and we could use it for as long as we wanted. If nobody was prepared to ban based on simply results and doing things that are unusual enough of the time, and that work enough of the time without good justification, then yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that if I was to create, like, I was having this discussion with Laura and saying, if you had to create a code for cheating, like a while ago there was the German doctors who coughed, and now there's, ages ago there was the hand signal saying from Reese and Shapiro showing how many hearts you had. These signaling methods seem crude at best. Like,
Yeah,
I would have thought if you're going to cheat at bridge, you would do it in a different way. And then I was just thinking, like, if I was to cheat, like, you don't need to cheat on every board. Like, if you just got one swing over 16 and you're a world-class player, on average, that'll be enough to bring you up to be winning far more events than you should. So I was thinking, you don't even need to cheat on every hand, and if you just cheat on, like, 1 in every 3 or 4 hands, then the code would be so much harder to break, because you would see all this inconsistency in it.
Yeah, you'd have to also change it regularly as well. You wouldn't run the same code for a long period. You'd run, each board could be different, numbered code based on something, or
I think that's the real key. Those 2 points that you guys just made are the real keys to cheating well. Now that we've moved on to this topic, let's advise all of the viewers on what to do if you want to cheat in bridge. The 2 things that you need to do is only cheat on marginal hands. Don't just swing a random ace because your mate told you to leave that. So don't do things that are obviously weird. That's rule number 1. Obviously, you only use the cheating information on hands that are marginal, where you could try and argue your case, and it would be convincing to a third party who asked you, why'd you lead that weird card on board, whatever, and you'd be like, oh, well, because da-da-da-da-da, And the second one would be to have to obviously change your method regularly. Between tournaments wouldn't be too often, because, like here, Boya obviously, or whoever, or Ish, whoever, didn't have enough information for one tournament. Like, they couldn't just use just a spin goal. They had to go back to the European Championships from the previous year. What was it? Some invitational pairs championship, I think, they've used handstones. If you changed the system between tournaments, it'd be almost impossible to prove that you're cheating. And if you didn't win as much, Fisher Schwartz, if you cheated less marginal hands, then you wouldn't even get suspected that much as they have.
Yeah.
It does worry me that there might actually be other top pairs that are cheating in a similar but better way. Less obviously, gaining smaller advantages, but doing it without without bringing suspicion to themselves and getting away with it. It's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Because, like all the 3 of us have been saying pretty much, it wouldn't be that hard to cheat more intelligently than Fisher Schwartz have done.
Yeah, and less obviously. Like they've taken it to the point of winning everything. Basically, like it, yeah. But you can understand that the cheating mentality if you look at stuff like cycling, where everybody else is doing it, and you feel like, imagine a pair plays against Fisher Schwartz, gets the impression they're cheating, decides that they should be winning rather than them, starts running a few little tricks themselves. I would be surprised if it wasn't happening.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward, but in bridge there's a good sort of... Well, I was brought up on this respect for the game, and I wouldn't understand why you'd want to cheat, but at that high level when there's so much money and prestige, I kind of get why some people would do, but it kind of scares me, but I couldn't imagine, I don't really understand it, Well, I just don't want to believe more than I don't understand it. Like, I wish people held the game in higher regard.
It's a tough
Yeah.
one because
That was the
when you
thing.
get to that high level, yeah, you become so. People that are at that high level want to win at all costs. Certainly, some of them, not everybody, but a lot of the players, and that's the reason you get to that high level. It's hard to get that good without having that sort of win at all costs mentality.
Yeah, I think at the start I was a bit like UP, where I was just, my whole view on it was like, I just don't understand why they would cheat at all. It's just the concept that does this just completely baffles me. But the more that I think about it, I've come to the conclusion that if there was one thing that would lead me to cheating, it would be that even if you were the best bridge player in the world, you still needed probably some amount of luck to win a tournament. And even if you had the best team, you wouldn't win every single tournament. You probably wouldn't even win, you might win 1 in 5 tournaments. And that's with the best team.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think that's the part that would get me if I was the best bridge on an imaginary planet where I'm the best bridge player and I have 5 other mates. Obviously Peter Holland's one of them on my island, who are the 5 other best bridge players in the world, and we just kept losing these tournaments. I'd start to get pretty pissed off, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, there's also, like you said, a lot of money in it, and this is how they make their living. So, yeah.
I mean,
It's just there's so much money on the line.
What was that,
Not
Mike?
to say that all bridge players are cheats, but because one thing is bridges is a sort of a sport or game where you are very much accountable for your actions, and if anybody is caught or even suspected of cheating, it does do a lot to sort of scar their reputation. And so I'm sure there are a massive majority of top players that are very ethical and would never even consider cheating. It'd be a huge majority, but yeah, it is always a bit worrying that the minority, a few bad eggs here and there.
Yeah. So I guess the main point from that is that you shouldn't go accusing people of cheating because, unless you're very sure. If you know they're cheating, go do it. But if you just accuse someone of cheating, let's assume that Lotan Fisher and Ron Schwartz aren't cheating. Their bridge career is over anyway. It'll never be the same whether they're cheating or not. Just the shit sticks, and they're stuck there. Their bridge career is completely over. Whether or not they've cheated or not, they've been publicly hanged, and there's nothing they can do about it. So before anyone goes and accuses anyone of cheating, be damn sure that you're right, because it's a lot easier to convince someone that you're cheating than to convince someone that you're actually innocent.
Yeah, good point. It's been a lot of years with Fisher and Schwartz. A lot of years of whispering and whatever else, and so yeah, I don't feel so sorry for them in any case, unless they can prove conclusively that none of their actions are dubious, which seems pretty tough at this point.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It'd be pretty hard to conclusively prove that you're not cheating and that you were just doing random things that worked often. I mean, how would you even go about doing that?
All right. Well, we might finish our masterclass on how to cheat and move on to recent results. Now, I was going to talk about the spin gold, which is very related to this, which I alluded to earlier, and also about the World Youth Championship. For those that don't know, the spin gold, which was sort of the, not the starting point, but I don't know, the straw that broke the camel's back was in the spin gold. The Team Kane won the spin gold, which included Fisher and Schwartz on it. And Fisher and Schwartz beat out the team that Brogland was on, which was Team Schwartz, I believe. There's a different Schwartz. There's a guy called Richie Schwartz. Do not confuse him with Ron Schwartz.
I don't have the name Schwartz.
But yeah, that was in the semi-final, and in that, Team Kane, which had Fisher and Schwartz on it, lost by an imp, then had an appeal which made them win by an imp, so they then got through. They realised there was a missed score, but the missed scoring happened too late to actually adjust the scores. So Team Kane got through to the final and then went on to win the event. Now, after the... and they beat Team Monaco, which is another top-class team. But yeah, so that was the events of the Spin Gold, and that's what sort of sparked all this appeal and this close match and had all that sort of stuff going. Any thoughts on the Spin Gold?
Well, the missing imp that was actually noticed after was actually a misclaim by, guess who?
Lotan Fisher.
Lotan Fisher misclaimed. Some people suggest deliberately, not easy to tell with that one, but apparently he did make 3 misclaims in one session, all of which were over tricks on part scorer game boards, and all of which were in his favour by 1 trick. So I don't know.
That looks dodgy for sure when it happens 3 times, but like misclaiming is something seriously easy to do. And I doubt anyone would be stupid enough to like cheat by misclaiming, because that's some way to really piss off your opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I just feel like Lotan Fisher has gotten to the point where he's pretty cocky. You know, he's been cheating for so long and hasn't really been caught that he's just gotten confident. That's the way I feel about it. Because why else would you? I mean, the way that Boyer Brogland put it on his website was that, you know, Lotan's a world-class player. He knows exactly how many tricks he's going to make at trick 1 when he sees dummy. You know, for him to misclaim is pretty ridiculous. And I know that kind of player that, you know, can think instantly at trick 1 and just go, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen on this board. And I mean, sure, maybe he's not one of those people. You know, maybe he really misclaimed 3 times, but that seems pretty ridiculous. And the fact that let's work on the assumption that he did do it intentionally. That's pretty silly.
Yeah.
But winning by 1 imp, getting appealed, to lose by 1 imp, to actually not really have lost by 1 imp because you actually drew because of the missing imp, but not get to play like a playoff or whatever because it's too late, that to me seems, this is an entirely different point, but that to me seems absolutely ridiculous. Like, that is not, that's just, it's not even, doesn't have anything to do with bridge, it's purely scoring. Why did some team got through completely arbitrarily? That I would be pissed off if I was Boyer Brogland. I would be one pissed off person.
I would start a website and start defaming people and call people cheats.
Yeah, to be
fair, tournamentdirectors.com.
Boyer's timing doesn't look so great for him. Just after you've been beaten by this team by 1 imp in a dubious situation, it makes it feel more personal than you know, waiting a bit and doing it in
But is that a bad?
less than the heat of the moment. I guess one thing is he is taking a huge personal risk by making this claim, and yeah.
Talking about risk, for those that don't know, obviously Fisher and Schwartz are pissed off and have sought legal counsel. Including this is suing Boyer Brogland for $1 million for defamation and all that kind of stuff. So Boyer putting his name out on the line to say these guys are actually cheating, it takes a lot of risk. So you'd want to be really pissed off and really sure to do that.
Boyer is also the father of 2, married, and is living in a safe house in Norway at the moment. More of a preventative thing rather than based on legitimate real risks. But apparently he called the Norwegian police before he made his statement and asked them for their advice, and they said just in case, maybe it's best to find somewhere else to live for a while.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah. All right. So we might wrap up the talk of the cheating scandal and the Spin Gold and all that. But move on to results from the World Championship. So the World Youth Championship has just finished, and Australia managed to come fourth. So I thought I was pretty happy about that because there's more to join the fourth club.
Fourth again.
Yeah. The winners were Teams Latin. I have no idea how to pronounce it. And they were a mixture of countries.
Confirm that this was an open youth team, so teams could be formed from players of different countries. It didn't have to be all from one country.
Yeah, correct. And that was a mixture of like Italian, Argentinian, Swedish, I believe, that were the world champions. And they beat out Norway for the silver medal. And then Australia played a team called Gressway Axon for the bronze medal match and unfortunately lost that. So in first was Latin, in second was Norway, third was Gressway Axon, fourth was Australia. But anytime Australia makes the semi-final, I'm pretty proud because we don't have a good record of actually doing anything.
Yeah, fourth is a pretty excellent effort, so well done to all the guys who played on the Australian team. It's really, really awesome.
Good
so it was really good. And I saw that they were down by a lot after the third set, and in the fourth set they climbed their way back up quite significantly. They only lost by a relatively small amount. I was like, oh no! That's pretty brutal whenever that happens. But yeah, no, awesome effort by those guys, obviously. That was really cool. The other thing that I want to mention, so that team that came first, because you said you didn't know how to pronounce it, in Bulgarian, the word Lotan means gold. So it's pretty funny that they called themselves gold and they went ahead and won it. So that was pretty cool. I mean, I assume that the word is the same in other European languages as well. So there you go, gold for gold.
Gold for gold.
In the open pairs, Max and Shane also did pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, they came fourth again. Very Australian of them.
Join the club.
Who else has come fourth in a youth pairs, El?
I don't know. Wouldn't know. No, nothing really springs to mind. No recent events really just jump out at me, So couldn't tell you.
Maybe 2013. I think something happened.
Wait. Wasn't that the year when we played in Atlanta? And then Laura and I played the. It was us. Yeah, me recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth.
So Elle and Lauren coming fourth. Very Australian.
One of these days.
At least it's my only fourth. Usually I'm either second or fifth.
I think I've got about 5 or so fourths. I just collect them. I have like this empty trophy cabinet where I just put fourth in like writing, just so people know. I didn't get a trophy, but I did come fourth. Thanks for asking.
Hey, at least you've got 2 silver medals to go to next to all your 4th pieces of paper.
Okay, so Mike's got to run pretty soon, so we'll move on to the final part, which is an emails. So we got an email from Tim Monroe, so we'll just finish with that. If you have to run at any stage, Mike, don't worry, that's fine. Me and Elle will just finish it up. Okay, so I got this email from Tim saying, "Hi Pete and Triple Dummy, really enjoying all the stuff you're doing online. I've got a bidding question for you guys from a recent Swiss pairs. Second seat, vulnerable against Not, you hold a 6-5-1-1 8 count with Queen 9 to 6, Queen 10 9 5th, Singleton Queen, Singleton Queen. The bidding goes pass on your right and it's your bid. Do you make a bid here? I personally passed and the bidding went 1 club on my left, pass 1 spade. Would you make a bid at this stage? I chose to pass here as well. And it went 2 clubs on my left, pass, pass, back to me, and I chose to pass again. Would you make a move at any stage in this bidding? I chose to pass it out. The opponents made their contract, and it turns out we missed a vulnerable 4 hearts. What are my options, and what are your thoughts? Thanks, Tim. So, Mike, seeing as you're in a rush, what would you do?
Well, first thought is that this would be a good hand to play weak opening showing both majors. But without being able to do that, passing the first time looks pretty clear.
Yeah.
You risk missing a heart fit by opening some preempting spades, and it's not strong enough for 1 spade. So passing, I've got no problem with the first pass.
Elle, you're happy with the first pass as well?
Oh, yeah, I would play the first pass. I probably am not even convinced I would open, if I had a weak both majors bid, I would open at second seat vol against not with, I mean, sure, I've got a 6-5. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's close. At second seat vol against not, pretty much at any other seat / vulnerability, I'd be pretty interested in opening a weak 2 both majors bid. But this particular seat in vulnerability, it's just pairs. Ooh, I don't know. I'm a pretty
I think
little
it's
old
good
lady.
if you play that style. 6-5 is, the points don't matter, personally.
I mean, it's not the points that bother me. It's the fact that I'm hot against not, and I might go for a big number because I've got all the ladies and some average number of pips.
My issue would be vulnerable against not. This is not the actual hand my partner's expecting. I think I wouldn't be worried about getting doubled because, it could happen, but not particularly likely. But they'd be expecting some drastically different hand. But I would definitely be keen, but whether or not I'd actually open it, I don't know. But I think the first pass is clear. What about a club pass a spade? Any takers there?
I would pass again, I think.
Yeah, not me. I pass.
Yeah, I think it's a clear pass on your second opportunity. I don't think it's at all close to a 2-heart bid or anything remotely like it.
No.
So finally, 2 clubs pass. What about now?
I would take a bit now.
No, I'd bid 2 hearts.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a 2-heart bid. I think this is how you can vaguely show the hand.
One thing you've got here is that partner couldn't act, and they've obviously got some values because the opponent have stopped in 2 clubs. They haven't got any spades, clearly, and it's unlikely they're going to have hearts. So you kind of, they can't overcall 1 heart, you know that for sure. So it feels like they've got 3 or 4 hearts a lot of the time here.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm perfectly happy to act now. Whether or not you get to 4 hearts or not when it makes on the actual hand, I'm not convinced. I'm not sure partner would raise you or not, but I'd definitely bid 2 hearts on my final opportunity. At least make a part score, if not get to game.
I mean, you can. Partner's got a perfect hand this time with Ace King of Hearts, Ace of Clubs, and Jack Ten of Spades. They couldn't have more perfect cards, but you can make their hand a lot less perfect, and you still want to be acting here. Like you can take away, make their hearts King Jack tight or something, and you still might be better off to play 2 hearts, or even you might even end up in 2 spades some of the time. If you do get doubled, you might run to 2 spades.
Yeah. Any final comments, Al?
I was just going to say I wouldn't be too upset about not getting to game here, but I don't think I'm really going to lose a lot of imps by not getting to game in this was pairs event. I'll be losing to all the people who could open a weak both majors bid, I guess, and get to game there, but I wouldn't be too upset about not making game here. But that being said, I would definitely bid for the part score for sure.
To be fair, on this kind of a hand, going back to the idea of whether you would open a weak both majors, I think people are a little bit too concerned about the problem of going for a penalty, because you do get a game bonus of 500 for making a vulnerable game, and that's often a lot more, especially with a big shapely 6-5. The game bonus is a lot more likely than a big penalty.
Your partner's not going to know that you've got a 6-5
Well,
The partner
they'll put
thinks
you
you've
in
got
the
5-4 most of the time.
Well, but I wouldn't open very many 5-4s. Bowling it's not second seat, but that's probably my style. I'd be looking at more like a 5-5, almost any 6-5, or otherwise 5-5, personally. And with 5-4, unless the suits were really good and it had some shape, I might pass that hand. But it's certainly a style thing. There's not a right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pete? What's your style? You probably had more experience playing this than either of us. Enough.
I wouldn't be afraid of going for a number with a 6-5, that's for sure. But I'm partner, again, 5-4 is pretty rare that you would open it on, unless it was a very juicy 5-4 with concentrated values nearly opening hand. But I'm still don't think partner's going to pick me for this hand, but I think opening it's fine, but it's really hard to judge this hand with two stiff queens in the minors. I have no idea how to value this hand at all.
The thing is, if partner does have some sort of strong minors hand, and they bid through no trumps, you're not going to be disappointed by your hand. Your queens in the minors will fill their gaps. I don't feel ashamed at all opening this hand personally, but mostly because
Hal, you were saying?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say that I'm also just wondering about the gain versus, the gain of preempting versus if your partner has a hand that will act over a week 2 bid, then isn't that the same kind of hand that's going to get into the option? What kind of hand are they going to have with it? I'm just more thinking that what's the gain of opening a preempt here? Because you're preempting your partner half the time as well as the opponent. Because you're in second seat.
Yeah.
You take away the ace of clubs in partner's hand and keep the rest of the hand the same. And now you don't want to be defending 5 diamonds. Or you don't want to be defending a part score in not 5 diamonds, but a part score in diamonds or whatever number of diamonds they can make.
Yeah. Anyway, we might wrap it up there. Thanks all for watching. And thanks, Mike, for the guest appearance. Nick was over in Lithuania, I think it was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tough life.
Yeah. But thanks, Mike, for joining in as a guest commentator, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Elena.
All right. See you next time.
See you around.
Yeah.